Recording in progress.
That's kind of good.
Yes, got that.
So mae'r cyfarfod yma yn cael ei
So this
weddarlledu.
meeting is broadcasted online and will be available later. If you're not happy with this, please leave the meeting now. So warm welcome to the meeting of the authority. First of all, are there any apologies? Anwen Hughes, Einir Wyn-Williams, and Joan Lapton. Thank you. And then Louise.
John Pugh Roberts has asked me to pass on his apologies. He can't make it this morning.
No, I don't feel it. Yeah. Yeah, well, dan ni wedi bod I ffwrdd o'r sarthaf.
We've been away over the summer, of course. I was in the Royal Welsh in Builth Wells. I was providing the awards for the sharing competitions and several other duties throughout the day. And I was in the Meirionydd show about 3 weeks ago in Tywyn. It was a great show, a very homely show. I was in the Wrexham Eisteddfod, and I was in the Patagonia stall where we were convening. I've been on a panel for the Community Fund for Welsh Government. We have 100,000, and we are helping to pay or provide for matters within the communities of the park. We have a declaration here. An application has come from some staff members to ensure that you let the Democratic Office as soon as possible if you are attending any meetings or events or not, and to send any apologies beforehand unless you can attend. Notifying beforehand helps the staff and officers to be able to prepare appropriately for meetings or events. And it's also important to know who's coming for translation services and if any catering requirements are required, and if catering is required or if translation is required or not. That has happened more than once. So please, can you answer any emails from the Democratic Officer and to let you know, especially if there is a need for translation or if you need to be catered for, you're welcome to phone if you want to. One other matter for the Cyngor Gwynedd members. We have the seminar in Betws y Coed. The second day is on the same day as the full council meeting. So we've arranged for a room in Betws y Coed so there is a room at Betws y Coed, and officers at Cyngor Gwynedd asked everyone to bring your headsets if there is more than one in the room to avoid any difficulties with the sound. And that's it. I'll pass on to the Chief Exec to provide an update. Thank you, Chair. I have a few things just to draw attention to. First of all, can I welcome Somato to her first meeting? A warm welcome to the authority. I think this is the first meeting where we've had the full leadership team here, so it's great to see everyone settling in well. So welcome to all the team. As the chair mentioned, the arrangements for the seminar have now been made. It looks like an exciting programme, and I hope that most of you will be able to come. We have a guest speaker on the Wednesday evening as well. Darren Graves, Arwyn Graves, sorry. So it should be a good few days. An update on the Ffermio Bro. We have had our first panel in August. It was very successful and a very positive thing, I must say. We provided about 300,000 in grant for environmental agriculture. And there were some exciting plans, not just your run-of-the-mill stuff. There was some innovative stuff, given that this is the first year. Tim was on the panel, and I'm sure you would agree, Tim, that it was an excellent session, and there is more to come. There is another panel at the end of this month. So very positive start. Just for information, the staff and the authority are making arrangements to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the park. We were one of the first 4 parks in the UK, and we will be celebrating next October. So there will be different celebrations throughout the year. There are things that we will be doing as a team as well. And I think Johan, our heads of communication, will be bringing a paper to discuss with you what we have on the cards in the next working group in October. And it'd be great to receive your comments and your feedback there. For information, we had government grants for sustainable areas, and land and expenditure has started on the community fund. We provided 100,000 in community grants about a fortnight ago. Very positive for local projects. For information, Welsh Government have encouraged us to make a bid for an underspend. They have this year. There is an opportunity there if there isn't before, so you're aware of the process, and the leadership team have been very busy last month preparing a bulky package of projects that we have on the shelf, as it were. So that application has gone in. I don't know how much funding will be available, and I don't know what we'll get, but we hope that we will be told soon, and we've been told that we have to spend the money by the end of March. We do have an induction session for new members today. I think there are 3 of you who are attending Rhyswyn and Salamato. So looking forward to having a conversation with you and the leadership team after this meeting. And there is also an induction meeting for the national park nationally in November in Northumberland. We have 2 attending thus far. I think there is capacity for more, as I understand. They're great sessions. I haven't been myself, but I understand that they are worth going to. So if you have the opportunity, I have the programme for the 2023 event, if you'd like an idea of what's going on. For information, our leadership team is going down to see the other 2 national parks tomorrow. Their leadership team, joint learning, and I'll be meeting the deputy director for the government who's responsible for the national parks, and it'll be an opportunity to have a conversation there. That's all from me. Thank you. We'll move on to 3. Howley Holly. Declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest? No? Okay, we'll move on to number 5. I suggest that the meeting, the last meeting, minutes are approved. Do we need to show agreement? Is that seconded? Thank you. Any matters arising from those minutes? Number 7, actions. Has this changed a little, has it? There are, all matters are listed. The first item can be taken from the list now. As referred to before, the leadership team, we are 4 now, so that's been achieved. It's okay to take that first item off, and then the second, the corporate update report will be submitted today, so that's going to, and then the annual governance statements, it's on the list as well. Thank you. Is everyone happy? Is everyone happy? We'll move on to the annual report from the Director of Corporate Services. With this report, it's been appended as a draft to the annual report. It's familiar to most of you. But there is a covering report in a way that sets out what we are aiming to do out of the annual report. We report on areas, different areas, including the Chair's report for 24-25, and indicate in a way, in a more understandable way to most people, what work has been achieved by the authority, the important work that has taken place during that period. There are also more statutory matters that we report on, details about the area, the corporate vision, well-being statement, how we've set the well-being objectives, and we report on the progress made formally within the annual report. This work will be familiar to you because you have set the work programme, and reports have been brought before the committee that you have approved about how we're achieving this. And then performance management, an improvement framework, and contact details. I don't intend to go through the report page by page. I will leave it open for any questions about any part of the report. The recommendation is that the authority adopt this report and approve its publication. Any questions? Thank you for that as a present introduction. A few questions for clarity more than anything, and just to check my understanding. If I can refer to AC3, on page 43. It's to do with developing a cultural heritage strategy that's in red, with steps to be taken and work to be achieved by the summer of 2025. So I just wanted an update about the progress. It's coming to the committee in October. So that's continuing in red until we are trying to report at the end of the year. So there are developments. There have been developments since then. That would bring it to yellow or green, but we're trying to report about what the situation was at the end of that year. So to some extent, it's dated, but we have to set some kind of point where we close, and that's the end of the year. That's fair enough. Thank you for the clarification. I think it's important that it's a point in time. I just wanted to pick that up. I also have a comment on page 63. Sorry, 68. Once more, to do with CW5. Just wanted clarification. This question is similar to the last one. It's red here. So I'm assuming that that's continuing, or is that at a certain point once more? Should that be green? It was red because we presented the report at that time, but it was red at the time. The continuous suggested that it had happened. It refers to the strategy having been achieved. One more comment, if I may. I don't want to take up all the time. There are a number of things in Welsh where it talks about continuous and completed and continuing. I'm not sure if there is consistency in the wording, or does it mean something different? I'm not sure if my translation translates the translation, if that makes sense, but continuous, there is a different term at different stages in the report. It goes to different heads for completion before it comes to the report. So it's just a different terms from different heads, but I would imagine that it means the same. I suspect it's so. Can I suggest that we do use one common term, that's so it doesn't confuse? Okay, thank you. It was a recommendation that we adopt and publish. Can I make a proposal then? Show of hands, please. Plas Tân y Bwlch. An update by the chair of the chief exec. Not much to say. It won't take too long. But just to remind you, the vision here is to move the headquarters from here to Plas Tân y Bwlch to ensure the future of the Grade 2 building and gardens, having taken it off the market last year. Much work has happened, especially led by Naomi. Quite a bit of community engagement. The main action is to prepare for the lottery funding, and I'll let Naomi come in shortly in relation to that. We are continuing to engage with the community, and the feedback is very positive in that context. I must also say that we have been in touch with stakeholders that we hope can be partners on this journey, and the response from them, as anticipated, has been very positive. We have many people who would like to work with us and see the benefit, want to see the benefits of this, and they're as excited as us. So it's looking promising about partnerships moving forward. Clearly, I must mention the financial context, and that's why the plant went on the market. That situation has not been resolved, but we have a close eye on this moving forward. That's all I have to say, really. I'll let Naomi come in on where we're at in relation to the lottery funding and the commissioning and so on. Amy, do you want to come in? We've commissioned corporate architects to create design and to work with us on the initial period. They'll be working with us until we submit the development application and the team is led by them as corporate architects, and also include landscaping, business planning, specialists in relation to engineering, ENVI, because the sustainability is very important for this project, and the QS. We received a lot of interest in this commission, and two companies came to the top. There was nothing between both companies, really, but we've appointed Donalds Insel because of their capacity to work in the Welsh language, and also the fact that they're located in North Wales. Their capacity to respond to the place and place working is obvious and very strong in their bid. So we've started with them. Last week, we had an initial meeting on the 4th of September. We're in the period of sharing loads of documents and information at the moment, and there will be a follow-up meeting before the end of the month to put things in place. We have had a meeting on site with Cadw over the summer. They are very supportive and have referred us to their application process to try and get match funding. The timetable is still what we reported on a few months back, and that we present the development in February 2026. The figures are the same as I reported on in the last meeting, and that we present an application for 325,000. And then we'll ask for 90% of that from the Heritage Fund, £292,500. And then we'll be looking for match funding from Cadw mostly, but also a possibility of presenting to the Arts Council, which would increase the value of the project. So I'll leave that for now. If the application is successful, we'll hope to hear by May or June of next year, which will give us about a year and a half to work on the project, and it will take us to the end of 2027. And at that point, we will submit the big application, which looks at 9,444,000, and we'll be asking for 80% of that from the Heritage Fund. 7 million. Sorry, I haven't got the figures in front of me. So that's what's gone in thus far. We will be looking at for £1.5 million match funding, which is a lot of money. And as a local authority, we don't have access to many grants to this. In a way, that it will be ambitious, and it will also mean that we'll have to keep a conservative eye on the purse as well, because we will be looking for much funding from Cadw, the local authority, and from the LEI, the enhancement from the National Grid. We've had a promising meeting with them over the summer, and they are open for us to present up to 3 bids to them that could be up to 900,000 and Magnox and the Arts Council for Wales. So just to conclude the community engagements, I've met with 5 of the 6 local authorities, and the last one was in the last one will be in November, who aren't meeting until November. Jonathan wants to come in. Just briefly, I forgot to mention one thing I feel that stood out with the tendering process was the passion that people went for it. They shared the vision. That was clear. You would expect that, but it did come out very clearly. And they shared the vision and understood the vision. Saw this as a project of a regional significance that was very important. It was great to see that. The point I forgot to make, and he once reminded me, we do have workers from the Tanau Grisiau Power station who've been staying there for a while now, and the income, ironically, is as good as it has been at the moment. It's better than it has been, which is alleviating the financial pressures somewhat. They will continue to be there until at least Christmas. And it's anticipated that they're behind with the project at the moment, so the likelihood is that they will continue to be there. But we can't, of course, guarantee that. But in the meantime, we will be targeting similar things for the future as well, from the National Grid, for instance, or Trawsfynydd or wherever, because there are possibilities that we will be trying to target, because it has been an excellent thing for us as an authority. And the fact that we've been able to do it with these contractors will demonstrate to others that it's worked, and we can show the arrangements that we've put in place. So it's easier then to attract other companies. Great. Louise?
Yeah, diolch, Cadeirydd. I just want to say, while I'm not against the plans for Plas Tynabwlch in principle, I do realise the enormous cost of purchasing it and running it, maintaining it is going to be problematic. I was just wondering what is going to happen. Are there any plans for the current building there in Pen and Deudraeth, please? Should the sale go ahead?
Just point out,
point of clarification, first of all. The Plas is ready in the ownership of the park, so we don't have to buy it. Just to make that clear, just making it work. Just to explain the context of what we can do. We have 2 centres at the moment, so moving towards one location is the aim. As far as costs, we hope that it won't be much higher than they are now. And as far as the headquarters, I've had discussions with different people about what we can do. There is an interest by 1 or 2, and the main conclusion we should park those ideas until we receive confirmation next summer from the National Lottery, and then we're in a position to start discussions, and we will be prioritising discussions with the community in the first instance, which was very encouraging to see that there is an interest in using the site in the future, and there are different options, but parking that until next summer, maybe. Tim, I just wanted to say, I'm very happy to see this paper. There's obviously a lot of work to get to where we're at now. Especially, it's moving ahead wonderfully, and I'm pretty confident that we will be successful with the application in relation to the initial plan that goes to the Lottery Cymru. But I must say that I am worried if we'll get this significant money, because it goes to the big fund that competes with many other things in London. And on that basis, paragraph 19 and 20 here on managing expectations is very important. It's a small paragraph in the paper that we have, but as far as expectations and everything else, we need to be quite clear. It's fantastic if we get it, but I don't want to be here picking up the pieces when this doesn't happen, if it comes to that. Accepting, I think this is the first meeting where we haven't talked about managing expectations. But if we don't succeed with the lottery application, then that's the end of the journey. It depends who we're competing against. It's a bit of luck. I thought the period was about 5 years for achievement. That's the detailed planning and everything else, because that... 5 years seems to be a long time, but I assume that there'll be a lot of detailed planning. So what's the building's time scale? By the time the application goes in at the end of 2027, I think we can submit the planning application and the registered building application at the same time. It's in the window. And then we have to have permission for achievement. But we should be ready to go to start with the tendering process and contractors and so on straight away. Any project by the Heritage Fund, half of it is capital and half is engagement activity and environmental and stuff. So I anticipate that most of the capital work will be spent on the building in a way in 2-3 years, maybe, of the first 2 or 3 years of the 5 years, and then the rest will be the engagement with people. That's what's happened in the Ysgwrn. That means quite significant pressure and cash flow. And for the Ysgwrn, we discussed with the lottery and put some monthly applications in because there was so much expenditure. It was a lot of expenditure for a short period of time. So it's certainly something to look at.
Thank you very much. Rhys has one more question. Yes, I was just going to raise something about managing expectations, but Tim's done that already. Just a question relating to engagement, really. As a part of the company's work, will that, during their commission, will that be a part of? Yes, it certainly will. We want to be seen as the face of the engagement process, really. And we thought it would be too good an opportunity to miss, really. So we'll be working jointly with Angela's team and Gwenno as well. And the project team, of course. Of course, it's really important that that engagement is ongoing, but you've already replied to that with regard to what the authority's role as staff is, rather than them running independently. And I'm fine with that. Thank you. Nobody else has their hands up, so we'll go to the recommendation, which is to note the contents of the report for information. Does anybody propose that? Can we have a seconder? Thank you very much. Show of hands. Motion carried. Thank you. On to item 10, the Welsh Government Strategic Grant Letter. Thanks, Chair. This is for information more than anything, really. I don't expect a long discussion on this. Obviously, you're welcome to do so if you want to. It will be discussed in Performance and Resources Committee in the future. It just draws your attention to the strategic grant letter, which outlines the Cabinet Minister's priorities for the year. And so the strategic grant letter is operational from April onwards every year. Perhaps the main change, and just for information, the priorities are noted anyway, and they're included and incorporated into the corporate work programme, and that's where we report back to you in the Performance and Resources Committee. So there will be an opportunity for you to go through it in detail there. The only other thing I wanted to draw your attention to, which is new, is there is a monitoring programme there now. There are targets for monitoring the strategic grant letter, and that, based on that, we need to report to the government on that. It's new, but we have to report on it every 6 months. The one at the middle of the year is a bit lighter, and then the final one is more in detail at the end of the year. So we will be presenting 2 reports, and you'll see the actual template. I believe it's on page 92, the template. So that's the data that we will be collecting and presenting to the government from now on. We can't change it, obviously, it is what it is, but of course you're welcome to discuss it, and this will be presented to you in the authority in November. Does anybody have any questions? If not, recommendation is that the members note the report for information. Will anybody propose that? Seconder? Everybody, can we have a show of hands, please? Thank you. Motion carried. Moving on to item 11. Independent member to the Standards Committee, E1. Yes, thank you for that. Paragraph 5.1 sets out the 2 general remits of the Standards Committee. That the authority proceeds to advertise the position of independent member of the Standards Committee, and it, of course, assists the members in keeping to the code of conduct as well. I've set out the specific functions of the member. I've also set out that there are some duties relating to staff. This report has arisen because the former chair, Mr. Martin James Hughes, he was a member and his period came to an end. He was he had his second period as an independent member. And in accordance with the regulations, the authority has to agree that we establish a panel in the past. It's included the chair, vice chair, the chief executive, myself as the monitoring officer, and a lay member. And you've said that it's been okay for me to appoint somebody onto the panel. So the recommendation basically is that the authority proceeds to advertise the position of an independent member on the Standards Committee for a term of 5 years and establishes an interview panel of 5 in accordance with the regulations to include 1 lay member to be selected by the monetary officer. Does anybody propose the recommendation? Proposed, seconded. Can we have a show of hands, please? Thank you very much. On to item 12, which is an update on the budget. Head of Finance, Sian, can you let us know where we're going to get the money? So this is an update on the budget for 2025-2026. It's based on the first month of the financial year. We approved the original budget in February. So I'm just letting you know about any changes that have happened since then. The two biggest changes is we now know what the agreement is for 2025-6. It's about 3.2% on the original budget. We had set it originally about 2%, so it's a bit more than we expected. But when we reported back on the autumn, we had allowed some, or allocated some slippage, so it doesn't affect the deficit that we have at the end of the year. And the other change is that we have added the slippage to 2025-26. So as far as the situation is concerned, we have deficit of about 600,000, and it's financed from the reserves. As far as the capital reserves is concerned, there hasn't been much change. We put in a bid, and hopefully we'll know about the results of that bid, and it'll be a bit clearer. As far as the specific services are concerned, there are some notes there regarding specific services under paragraph number 4. So the recommendation is that you approve the situation as is with the budget for 2025-2026. Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? If not, we'll go to the recommendation that we accept the report. Will anybody propose the recommendation? We have a seconder and a show of hands. Thank you very much. On to item 13, the mid-term financial plan. And it is being reported by the Chief Executive and the Chief Finance Officer, John and Sian. Well, in fact, Dewi. Like Sian explained with the previous item, what this paper does really is give you an update, and you get an update quite regularly in order to foresee what will happen in future years. And the actual information is on page 114. And what we do with the midterm financial plan is to look at which likely events can affect us, the national economic situation, for example. Inflation, of course, I mentioned that earlier. At the moment, the Bank of England is expecting it to go up to 4% by the end of the year. It's 3.8% at the moment, but they're expecting it to come back to 2%, which is their target in moving forward. And according to those who advise us, but of course we don't know what will happen and what events will happen in the world. So 2% is something that we need to keep at the back of our minds. And the main source of funding of the authority is the grant that we get from the government. We mentioned that earlier on, and the chief executive said that 4.3 million is the grant money for this year. And in trying to be prudent, the history of this grant is that it has remained consistent. It's gone up 5% for this year. So you think to yourself, you're not expect a major increase in this in future years either. And if anything, you can see here there is a risk of it decreasing a bit. We are aware that grants come before the end of the financial year from the government. And of course, that is to be welcomed, that we do get the money. But it comes with its problems because it's difficult to plan beforehand, because if we do get the grant money late in the day, of course, we have the ability to put it into reserves, but not being able to plan beforehand is difficult, but it's better than anything, and it's to be welcome. But it's hard. And what's noted by us often in relation to this late money, the levy that's charged by the two county councils, which will be of interest, especially from those of you in the county council. So the additional money is not part of the levy, because it's that levy from them is based on the basic money. So it's semantics, really. If you look at the table under 4.2, what we, in relation to what we foresee the authorities' situation will be, and you can see the levy there that we charge on the county councils. We don't have the ability to increase it. The table under 4.2 actually summarizes the situation. There's going to be pressure. Sean mentioned the pressure that we're facing with regard to the staff agreement, 3.2 this year, and it will likely be something similar in the future. We've noted 3% because the idea is if inflation comes down, then there is pressure for us to increase the staff salary settlement. And like I said, inflation in general, we're hoping that that will settle and will be a bit more consistent. There are reserves that we use to fund, although it's not ideal, but we have allocated them to help bridge things where there is a financial deficit. And like I mentioned, when we were in the Performance and Resources Committee last time, we do have healthy reserves in the authority, really. As you can see, 4.7 in the report, we have nearly 11.5 million of reserves. And of course, most of those have been allocated as well. But we have the 2.5 million in the financial hardship fund as well. So as far as the settlement and what we have in reserve is concerned, I think we are in a more comfortable place than we could have been, but that doesn't mean that there's not work to be done as we move forward. So we do foresee that there will be a deficit in the future years because our costs have increased, and we see that the income grants remains the same. And we don't know what will happen in the Senate and the elections next May. We just don't know really who will be in power from May onwards and what the attitude of those who will be running the Senate will be towards us as public bodies. So the only thing I can tell you, I don't know if the chief executive wants to come in here, this shows you what we're foreseeing the situation, financial situation will be. There's pressure there and there's work to be done to ensure that we remain within our financial capacity. The situation could be a lot worse, but we're just carrying on, and we'll be carrying on to ensure that we have a balanced budget set. And whilst using the reserves, we don't want to use them too much. So that's the message. I don't know if Jonathan wants to come in there. Thanks for that, Dewi. Like Dewi mentioned, we're operating with a deficit at the moment. There are internal discussions regarding how we respond to that. I'll be bringing a report to submit to the members in the October working group, I believe. I think it will be an opportunity for us to discuss it openly and the initial thoughts. The work is ongoing on that for your information, and we'll have an initial discussion on that next month, and there will be papers following that as well. So the initial discussion next month and how we respond to it. Does anybody have any questions? Elwyn, Edwards? Thank you, Chair. I'm not expecting a clear response now, but how much money have we had? Well, how much less money have we had from the government during the past 10 years? Can you find out the amount for me for the next meeting? The reason I'm asking because they are carrying on with creating a new national park, and at the same time they're cutting the grants to members of the national parks in Wales. They are determined to go ahead with it. Iranka Davies wrote a letter to the chair asking for support. Well, there won't be any assurance that they'll be in power next year in any case. And that's what I'd like to know, please. How much less have we had over the past 10 years? Because it'll cost millions to establish a new national park, and a lot of people are against it in any case. I don't have those figures to hand. Thank you for your question, but we can get those figures and present them to the authority. With relation to the new national park, obviously we've made that point in discussions with them about the new national park, hoping that it won't affect our budgets, and the point has been made to them. The consultation is open now this week, I believe. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? We'll move to the recommendation then, please, to note and respond to the matters noted to adopt the midterm financial plan as an operational document. Will anybody propose the recommendation? Proposed and seconded. Can we have a show of hands, please? Item 14, the Ysgwrn Annual Report. Naomi. I prepare a report for you in every year, which is based on the previous financial year, if you like. There's an update for 2025. But in general, 2024, 2025 felt that we were gasping really. In 2023, 2024, we had the Disappearing Words project, and that was a big project between the museum and Pembrokeshire, and commercially it was very good for the Ysgwrn, and that exhibition came to an end during the summer of 2024, and then we moved on to an internal exhibition using our own materials, and it was called the Ysgwrn Inspiring. From a commercial point of view, it wasn't as successful as the previous one, but we can see continuity to the patterns that we saw before COVID. We have busier months of the year, of course. Easter tends to be very good, but of course Easter moves, and so it's difficult to plan. And then you have July, which is a very good and prosperous month. It has always been the case that educational groups are really important. They are very important groups, audience-wise, for the Ysgwrn and secondary schools. We are holding a very varied activities program, concentrating mainly from the Easter to Christmas. We have Christmas exhibitions, which is an important part of the calendar. And last year and this year, we're taking part in the dark sky activities as well. We tend to try to apply for grants for a lot of the activities that we hold, because otherwise there is no funding. And the Federation for Museums and Galleries offer grants a few times a year, and they're an agent for grants from other sources as well. And so last year we were successful in receiving grants for projects that are happening this year. We've taken part in a project called HERDS, which works on climate justice and links the natural environment with museums and young people. And obviously for us as an authority, it's very relevant and it's very successful. And we received a grant as well for a project that will be delivered this year for the visual arts. And we have a project at the moment based on the Black Chair and the sister of the Black Chair. But of course we mustn't forget the Eisteddfod. Projects will be happening this year and will be announced next year. We've been continuing to work on the educational resources, once again, because our educational audience is our bread and butter, but we're also trying to make sure that the resources that we're using is for schools and delivering the curriculum for Wales. But there are additional things that are suitable for families, and they can go around the house as well if they want to. There is an opportunity at the moment for increasing income via the bungalow, and the head of properties is working on that at the moment. It's taking much more time than we wanted because the EPC performance of the bungalow isn't what we want it to be. And so with the guidance that we've got from Welsh Government, we haven't been able to reach the standards that are required, and we haven't been able to have full tenancy there. So like I say, the disappearing words or vanishing words exhibition was very good for us commercially. It increased the sales in the shop during that period. And of course, we have to compete commercially with other sites. We have had to increase our prices during 2024-2025 because our running cost just increases, and we have to sell lots of coffee, if you like, in order to catch up with those prices. The running costs are continuing to increase, but the situation has is more consistent, if you like. We saw that we're expecting the cost of electricity to increase yet again, so we need to keep a close eye on that. The board is still continuing to meet in order to discuss managerial issues and different procedures. And this year, we'll be launching the educational film Heddwyn, and we'll be working with University in Bangor, and we'll be applying for grants. The accreditation of the Ysgwrn, which means that we are reaching the best standards, and that has to be renewed every year in order to keep the accreditation status. It means that we have a lot of additional work. It means because we're a heritage site as well, but there are, without the accreditation, we wouldn't be able to apply for a lot of these funds, and so we need to. It really is worthwhile investing the time into that. There is definitely an opportunity through the PLAS project, although like I said, we need to manage the expectations. We discussed the possibility as a result of the PLAS project that we can work more closely with other sites that the authority owns, such as the Ysgwrn and the TIC in Betws-y-Coed specifically, but there's a more extensive opportunity than that. And we're looking at opportunities to bring an activities program together, volunteering opportunities, strategic opportunities, and so on. And another of the opportunities is that we bring together the Friends of Plas Tân y Bwlch and Friends of the Ysgwrn, and then we have 2 heritage sites, and there are huge benefits to that within a few miles of each other, and the lottery is very supportive of that. I hope that we've been able to start on that as part of the project, but at the moment they want to keep the 2 separate, but they can see long term as part of the heritage, or in the future what will be the benefits in the future will be worthwhile. So that's something that's very exciting. Within the next 2 years, there is an intention to present an application to the lottery again, so it won't be a competition for the PLAS. Hopefully we'll have a strategic program in place for activities, and as a part of that, we'll be appointing a development officer, because there is a weakness in the staffing structure at the moment in relation to forward planning and strategy. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll be able to appoint a new heritage officer. We'll have new ideas, new opportunities for collaboration, and hopefully there will be opportunities to extend the opportunities available. It's important that we get those new ideas, etc.
Naomi. Is there a question?
Any questions? Can I just ask a question about the tenancy of the bungalow? It's not complying at the moment, like you say, in relation to bringing income in. It would definitely help. It would draw in a 6,000 to help us with the running costs, so we are really keen to get that in place, because we know that there will be it will be a contribution to electricity costs and council tax, and there will be a saving there of 8,000-9,000 if we could get.
Iawn, diolch yn fawr. Rwy'n arall? Neb arall? Iawn, awn ni i'r argymelliad. Aelodau yn erbyn yr adroddiad, gwybodaeth wrth drafod oedd yn trafod. So, sa rhywun yn cynnig? Cynnig. Ellis yn eilio. Fe ddangos os bod Gario. Diolch yn fawr. Wan fyddwn ni'n mynd i 15. Cytundeb cyflwyniad cynllun datblygu lleol o Ceir Sweeney sy'n ei hwnio. Diolch yn fawr. Sori.
Rwy'n reit yn mas yna'n iawn. Ia, diolch yn fawr iawn chi a bar y dau chi gyd. Mae'r adroddiad sydd eich blaen i chi heddiw yn ymwneud efo'r cytundeb cyflawnwy ar gyfer datu ddiwygio'r cynllun datblygu lleol. So, fel welwch chi o'r ddogfen sydd yn pecyn lle, mae'r cytundeb cyflawni wedi cael ei rannu'n ddwy adran.
This has been split into two parts. There is a timetable of all of the key stages. And then part B sets out including the community section. So how and when we'll be engaging with the community and other stakeholders in preparing the scheme. The report also includes a summary of the timetable. The work will start formally in November of this year. And we'll be looking at possible sites over the winter, aiming towards the new year. We're then moving on to discuss the main matters and options, the strategy that will be favoured, and then approving in October 2027 before presenting and adopting in May 2029. So it is a 4-year process, but there are specific steps to go through. So as far as the document itself, this was considered in the Planning Committee in April. It's then gone out to consultation with stakeholders, and we conducted a community forum with our town and community councils so that they're aware of the consultation. Following on from the consultation, we received 7 comments from respondents, leading to 27 individual comments. These have been included as Appendix A, and we've then gone about changing a few things in the document. I've given an update in relation to the regional strategy that's going on, and also included additional stakeholders like Heneb, Chwarae Cymru, representatives from the local, the youth senedd, and also students' bodies in the universities. So those have been included within the document before you. Today, the officers are seeking approval on the on this before we present it to Welsh Government, and then we'll have to have their agreement. Following on from that, if the authority are happy with the document today and the government agree, we will be publishing this and moving forward to prepare the scheme in accordance with this agreement. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Ashley. This plan and the scheme, the detail is incredible, and I approve it, and it's an exceptional scheme. I suggest that we approve. Anyone second that? Show of hands then, please. We'll now move on to 16. The Welsh Members Seminar Wales, is it? Before Bethan starts, can I thank Judith and Bethan in particular for this work that has gone into the Welsh Members Seminar. Thank you very much. This was referred at the start of the meeting, so this is just a little bit more information. Our turn in Eryri to have the seminar that will take place in 3 weeks' time at Meadows Pod. We've tried to put an exciting programme together about nature, in particular, and hoping that it will be an opportunity that the matters will be discussed with peers in the other two parks and to hear from renowned people in this area of expertise. And we're also invited the Minister, Hugh Davis, to attend for some time now. But as it is with these ministers, they are quite last minute in confirming whether or not they have a space to attend. It's unlikely at this stage that he will be attending in person, but he may want to contact us virtually or send a video beforehand, recorded. If that's the case, we'll have to adapt the programme slightly. Otherwise, the programme is as it is. Having sent this out to you in August, whilst you were on holiday, that's why I'm raising this again, in case it's disappeared amongst all of your emails. The closing date to respond is today. I asked Sarah today, and at least half of you have already responded, so thank you very much. If you haven't yet responded, please can I encourage you to do so in person today. We will note your requirements, or if you're at home, please do contact Sarah or Iona or me, because we will, because we're having this out in a hotel, they need our final numbers as soon as possible. Any questions, I'm happy to answer. But I'd encourage you to answer, please. Any questions? It looks good. I was disappointed by the fact that the Minister hadn't responded, but as you say, it will probably be last minute. I've said that he should come, that he won't get another chance, maybe. We'll go to the recommendations, shall we? In the meeting that we went out to Pembrokeshire last year, quite a few board members were there to help. Is there anything that we can do as board members to help it? I want to talk for everyone, but at the moment, we're okay. We haven't panicked yet. The recommendation is to let you know as soon as possible. Yes. Anyone propose? Second, everyone approving? We'll now move on to 17. Performance and Resource Committee minutes. On the 9th of July, there is a copy. Will anyone propose that they're accurate? Hands up. Everyone in favour? No questions? Any questions? And the same with the members' working group report on the 25th of June. Does anybody want to add anything before? There is a misspelling of errory in English. We'll note that. Proposed? Seconded? Everyone in favour? Then number 19, meetings of other organisations. Does anybody have any report? No one? Nothing to report? Okay, that's the end of the authorities
Diolch
meeting.
yn fawr iawn i chi gyd.
Thank you very much. Just for those members who are coming to the induction session, when is the meeting in the diary? 2 o'clock. Wyn Rhyn Salamatu. If you're coming to the induction session, would you like to have it sooner? Shall we start at 11:30? If that's okay with Catherine?
Dwi'n cymeryd bod o gyrraedd bob class yn y gysylltu efo Salamatu efo link.
We'll get in touch with Salamatu with a link in the next quarter of an hour for the next meeting. Thank you.
Sure.